Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the August reparations meeting. Glad to have you all online and in person. It always feels like a long time when I come to these meetings. It feels like it's been a while since we got together. Eric, I believe he emailed copies of June meeting notes and July meeting notes earlier today. We have physical copies here in the chamber, but hopefully all of you have received those by email. And our first order of business, we'll let you go ahead and do roll call, Eric, and then we will take a look at the meeting minutes.
Okay, and when I call your name, just say present. And let's see here. What's this? August. Commissioner Barnes,
Here.
Commissioner Bowles,
Present.
Commissioner Ellis,
Present.
Commissioner Ford, Commissioner Harsfeld,
Present.
Commissioner Hearn,
Present.
Commissioner Jones,
Present.
Commissioner Lyman, and Commissioner Tauheed.
Commissioner Tauheed did shoot me an email and said that he would be here closer to 4 o'clock because he had a class.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Roll has been taken.
All right, thank you. Next order of business is approval of meeting minutes. I think if you all are like me, I have not seen them. So I would just like to take a few minutes to review the June meeting notes and then July and see if we could get those approved. So we'll take a few minutes and take a look at June. Eric, I have one question on the June 25th meeting minutes, second page under new business. Is that a typo, the tort of the sea? Commissioner Bowles explains. I don't know what that is.
That'll be tort of deceit,
The tort.
like deceit in nature.
Oh, deceit.
Tort of deceit. I remember that conversation.
That needs to be corrected. And Commissioner Bowles explained, I don't remember it. So if we could get just maybe a couple sentences of what it was or what it was related to, that would be helpful. And then the other question that I have in that same section under old business, it says Eric and LaDonna will be meeting with the attorney regarding.
It was regarding the closed session statement.
Oh,
and
okay.
everything.
Okay. If you would just add that to make the notes clear, just regarding the closed session, because we have that information now. Are there any other comments or questions regarding the June meeting minutes? Any clarifications? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Been moved. Is there a second?
I second. This is Kelly.
Kelly, thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the meeting minutes for June, our June.
I just said it was a correction that needed to be.
It's correct. Correct. It's been moved and seconded for the meeting minutes to be approved with those corrections that were discussed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, so approved for June meetings, approved for the record. And if we could take that same time to take a look at the July meeting minutes and do the same. Am I the only one that has not seen these?
No, I haven't either.
Okay, all right,
I saw them come through today, I think.
okay,
Yeah.
same. And so, ma'am, I should probably tell you that this is this is for the commission discussion only. And if there's any comments, we will open the meeting up for the public at the end of our meeting.
Notice that on your public input is always blank.
That's a really good point, that it should be there. But we will go back and add that for the June meeting.
So I have an edit here under the chair report, the third point down, the third arrow down, it says putting together marketing material to education the community. I think it should say to educate the community about the difference between the commission and the coalition.
Yes, ma'am. First bullet under old business. Then application to 14 people, wand waiting.
Just say and.
Not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, because I wasn't sure.
Sorry.
I do see that last bullet is still a question. To be honest, I'd forgotten about that, but there, in our meeting last month, there was a question regarding me asking a legal question. And the commissioner raised the point that before we go to the legal department, there should be a consensus amongst the board. To be honest, I forgot about that till I just saw it again. And so that is something that I guess we still really need to follow up on. The question, the concern.
The type of legal counsel that we'll be seeking.
I don't know if it's the type or just the point, period. Taking
It
any
was just the
issue
point,
from the
period.
commission to the legal department as a question without having the support of the commission, I think was the concern.
I also saw back in June, there was a conversation about the legal representation being city relegated, or whether we would be free to find our own legal representation. I think kind of goes back to that same question you were having about available to see from the city's legal team, don't want to use solely city legal as it would be a conflict of interest. So I think not only determining how and when we're going to be accessing legal, but which type and who that legal is. as being up to the discretion of the commission.
And I would like to say that that is. And so I think the question is making sure that we're correct about that. Because I think that should be our discretion as to who is hired to support the work. And so the question is that correct?
Confirming that.
I have another edit for the minutes. Down for the announcements, I don't think that's us. Date and
Under-
venue for holiday party. And the next meeting is October 28th. I don't know about the time of adjournment, if that's
Mr. Goodman,
accurate.
No, that's not you guys.
we're gonna remove that. Somebody's having a party that we didn't get invited to. All right, are there any other comments or discussions regarding the July 23rd summary meeting minutes? All right, if not, is there a motion to approve these meeting minutes with the changes?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the meeting minutes from July 23rd. All in favor? Aye. Are
aye.
there any opposed? All right, those meeting minutes have been approved.
Okay, I'll make the corrections and get those out to you guys tomorrow.
Now, don't be saying tomorrow. It's gonna be next week.
LaDonna's gone
Oh.
for the week. So
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
All right, I'm gonna roll right into my chair report, and quite frankly, I didn't have much of a report, but there are a couple things brought back to my memory from these two sets of meeting notes that I'd like to follow up on, and that is that legal question, and just making sure there is there was an email about the process for accessing our funds, but it really didn't go into the question that we have around approval. And I would hope that we do have the leeway to make those decisions. So I'll follow up on that. Will, do you have an update on, well, we'll do that for closed session on the commissioners' discussion. Let's do the one thing. Can we all pull out our calendars and find a date for our strategic planning session?
Retreat or a planning session?
Oh, I'm calling them the same thing.
Okay.
Retreat, the 4 hour bucket of time,
Oh, okay. Okay. So not just like the dinner.
not just the dinner.
Okay.
So Commissioner Ellis and I had a conversation last month because we recognize that there's an opportunity that we should just get together to get to know each other, some team building outside of the retreat. And so we were going to look for a slot on all of our calendars just to get together for an hour, maybe a happy hour, maybe a lunch, just to get together to team build and get to know each other a little bit, where we all come from. So that's kind of a separate goal that we'd like to have. But the more urgent one is finding some time for us to do some strategic planning, which is that 4 hour block that we wanted to find. And from last month's doodle poll, it looks like Wednesdays were good for most people, or Sunday. Maybe not for you.
Can do Sunday. I'd rather do Sunday than Wednesday, I think.
So if everybody could pull their calendar out for the month of September, which we're right there, so this may not even be a thing. But if we could look at the month of September, we're looking at Wednesdays or Sundays.
I think so.
Is there any other day that is preferable for folks?
Are we talking about evening or during the day?
Wednesdays was during the day. Bridget, I'm looking at you because I think you were the only one on a Wednesday that could not make a Wednesday work. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, middle of the weekdays are hard. I mean, I could do like Fridays, like Friday afternoons. I know that's probably not popular either.
For the happy
Friday
hour,
afternoon,
maybe.
Friday afternoon. For everybody else, I have some open Friday afternoons. You want to take a look at your calendars, the 13th, the 20th, or the 27th?
The 13th is the only one that works for me.
I could do 13.
It's fine.
I could do
Okay,
the
we got
13th.
3.
I'll
I
be
could
got
do the
four.
13th.
5.
I'm meeting at Vine Street
I could do that as well
Yeah.
after like 2 o'clock.
at the brewery.
The 13th after 2 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay.
This is a Friday.
So 2 to 6 or 2:30 to 6:30.
At Vine Street Brewery.
Well, that was quick. Now, this is the retreat. This is not the happy hour. This is the working retreat where we are strategically planning on behalf of the city of Kansas City.
It's also a Friday afternoon. 2 to 6, is that what we said?
Everybody on the call, did I hear that everybody on the call that would work? 2:30 to 6:30, September 13th?
I might not be able to stay till 6:30, but
Yep.
I'll be there
Yes.
too.
Close?
I'll be there too.
All right, we're gonna book it. Who's
Yeah.
missing on the call, sir?
Who's missing?
Yeah, who's
Tahid.
missing? Tahid and,
Ford.
Board.
okay. All right, so we got a majority. Got a
And
majority.
Asia. Asia.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
and
Asia.
Mr. Morris, yes.
Oh, yeah. And is Lyman still?
Lyman is away at school, so
Oh, she graduated?
she's gone.
Okay.
Did she go to Howard?
I have no
What was the
idea.
trip last year? Was her junior year or was it senior?
She's gone. I know she's gone. Now, where she went, I thought she went to
Okay.
Howard.
Oh, okay.
But that's a question because when we were talking about it before, she just wondered if she could Zoom in. But I really think that's a conversation because now, I don't know. I think that's going to be a hard plate to juggle.
On another, that's it.
All right, so we're going to go forward with tentatively planning for September 13th. Ooh, September 13th. September 13th, Friday the 13th, 2:30 to 6:30 for our retreat. Yay, that was quick. Good job. Good job. All right. What else did I have on my list? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump over to subcommittee reports. Bridget, you want to start us off with your report on healthcare?
Well, our subcommittee actually didn't officially meet. We opened the meeting and we didn't have any members join. And we actually had a guest speaker scheduled, so
Oh,
working to reschedule. The guest speaker also was running a little bit behind, so we decided to just close the meeting after waiting for a while.
okay.
So we'll reconvene in October, hopefully. No,
Okay.
September.
September.
Hopefully.
Slow down, doctor.
And then Commissioner Hartsville has done some looking for us for a location for our listening session. So Commissioner Hartsville, I don't know if you want to talk about so far what you found out.
So far, I have not found out very much. I have been looking at 3 locations, the Kansas City Health Department, Swope Health, as well as Samuel Rogers. The health department, the room that they have is under construction and will not be available for us in September. That was the time frame I thought that we were looking at for this particular event. I have been making phone calls to both Samuel Rogers as well as Swope, and I do believe that I'm calling the correct offices, but I have not received a return call from either of these locations. I've made several phone calls, no response, left messages. So Tuesday, I will just go to beginning with Swope and present myself and try to get in front of someone so that we can see if booking booking a room for a community meeting is possible. There at Swope, and if not, I'm going to go to Samuel Rogers. So that's all that I have to report.
Thank you. Do you know when the construction in the health department is supposed to be done, as far as when a room might be available?
I was told October timeframe. However, I perhaps need just a tiny bit more information. They have reduced the size of the room that I thought that we were going after. That's what the construction is about. The auditorium is no longer the auditorium that I recall. And so I think that we're looking at maybe 75 or less as being the maximum for that room. Is that sufficient, or were we looking, what kind of numbers were we looking at for this event?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I think it depends on when we decide to have it, as far as getting advertisement out. We were planning to do it back in the summer for June 19th. I would have expected a larger participation, but I'm not sure if we try to move ahead and do it in October, it probably would be a smaller participation. So 75 probably would work.
Commissioner, are we looking at the same speaker or no? That we had
Yes,
it back in June?
Yeah, the same speaker. He's still willing to do it.
I think he'll bring a crowd. I mean, maybe not 300 people, but I think
Yeah.
certainly 75.
So do you think we should look for a bigger place, or do you think?
Eric, do you know something about that space at the health department?
Well, the space at the health department, I know I just booked it for another event, but it was in October, like near the end of October. So depending on when October, I can check and see if it's available, if you guys want me to.
I think they were saying that they reduced the size to only 75 people. Is that what I understood you to say, Commissioner Hartsfield?
Yes, that's my understanding.
So yeah, because it's a nice space.
Yeah,
I didn't realize they had reduced
I
the
didn't either.
capacity.
Okay.
Is there any for healthcare clearly you're looking at healthcare facilities. What I don't have a relationship at all, but I just think about the space over on Independence Avenue. I don't even know what it's called. Bridget, do you know what I'm talking
The
about?
medical school over there, the KCUB,
Yes.
the medical school.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a fairly new facility, I would guess, that they have decent meeting space. And I
yeah,
think that's an interesting part of town that we might venture into.
yeah, that's another location. I think initially we were trying to think of places that had some, historical or significance to what we're discussing.
Gotcha.
So the health department kind of being the number one choice, and then Samuel Rogers and Swope, just given their connection with, the community that we're targeting. But yeah, I think if we don't get any responses, or if we don't think we can utilize the health department, don't get any responses from Swope and Samuel Rogers, we can move on to some of the other options like KCUMB. And
I guess the other thing that just, again, top of mind would be University Hospital, because surely they have convening space.
yeah,
Okay, well, keep us posted. I would
Yeah.
love to see us, what is it? This is already, we're looking at September, October, November. I would love to see us maybe knock out a couple of our listening sessions this year. I know we're going into the winter, but that would be great. So keep us posted on that. We also want to make sure we have 30 to 45 days of promotion time to
yeah,
make sure that we get the word out to all corners of the community. All right, anything else for healthcare?
that's it.
All right. Asia is not here, so I'm assuming there's no report on housing, public safety, and criminal justice. Commissioner Ellis, you want to give us an update on education?
Absolutely. Thank you all for being here today. For those of you that are listening, I'm Cornell Ellis. I'm the Education Subcommittee Chair. We met, I don't have a date on this, just a week ago or so ago, and we're able to get a few things out of the way that we thought were important. I took a stab at the initial harm statement in order for us to kind of get the ball rolling on putting together a document from the Education Subcommittee. I think the last couple of times that we've spoken, I've thought a lot about African-centered education. It's kind of being our North Star. And the experiences of African-centered education in the Kansas City community as being a poignant anecdote for the oppressive policies and measures or the lack of support, I think rather we'll end up saying around the Kansas City Public Schools. And so I took a stab at that, got some feedback from the group, and we'll be returning to the drawing board to be able to create something even better. I will be meeting with some experts in the field around the African-centered education that we've continued to meet with, like the Ballards, and Dr. Tawhid has made his research and information readily available for us to be able to use. That's another one of our big conversations, is the resource data bank and ensuring that we have virtual office space to hold articles and resources and books and lists of resources that we all and the public can then have access to be able to inform themselves, especially as we start narrowing in on some of these specific stories, like maternal health or like African-centered education. So we also have a listening session we'd like to propose to the group. We're looking at the week of October 16th through the 23rd. I'm sorry, October 20th through the 26th was what we decided on. I missed it. Bridget, what day of the week and time? I know that we had talked a lot about that as a group. What did we decide it was like most popular or most well to do?
Well, we haven't decided a date or a time for the second meeting. I think initially we were thinking a weekday in the evenings. But that was during the summer. So I don't know if, during the year, especially the school year, it's busier for people if we want to think about weekends again.
Right. I think the last one that education did was on a Saturday.
It was a Saturday.
And then the whole group one we did was also on a Saturday last year as well. I just texted Dr. Collier to we would like to keep it at the Kansas City Public Schools. I think at Paseo, like we did last time, I think would be really great space. I think having Dr. Ballard come in and tell the story like he did in that small group at the church back in the winter and doing that for a larger group would be great. I think we talked about the timing being we're about 60 days out still from October 20th, 45 days
45.
was our target. And so, yeah, the 20th is a Sunday and the 26th is that following Saturday. So we wanted to bring that to the group to go ahead and nail something down today, so that we could start approving a speaker. I believe he would have to be a vendor so that we could provide him with an honorarium.
Yes.
We'd have to get that approved. We'd have to get a few budget items approved, depending on what the facilities cost and any other logistics from the Kansas City Public Schools, and figure out a date that we can all agree on, that looks and feels good for the community. And we'd love to leave today with that scheduled. And so that was really the big thing that we wanted to bring back to the group today as we're working internally to continue creating a report initial harms report, which mine was a little bit too robust. I'm kind of going back and paring it down some, but and then starting to point the researcher, potential researcher that we'll have in the future in a direction. Also, I don't know if you were at the reparations meeting last night with the author that spoke about. And I'm sure Janae will give us a really great overview, but the author spoke about land taxes and overcharging for taxes and kind of how that whole tax law and tax system has created a lot of the systemic oppression for Black individuals and Black communities, especially through schools. So a lot of that stuff we'll continue to dig into individually, or I'm sorry, as an individual committee and me as the chair. But we'd love to get a listening session on the books and to get a document hammered out within the next 6 to 8 months so that when we have a researcher on board, we'll already have something for them to say, here's the background and the context of the harms. Here's an anecdote around African-centered education that we feel is a great place for you to start doing your research. And again, with this tax, the neighborhood tax incentives and that type of research could take it even further to monetize.
So you're working on the harm statement for your group. It would
Yeah,
probably be more than a statement. Or maybe it's a statement per area of harm within the education.
Yeah, and the way that I envision it, and I'm going to continue doing some reading around how other cities separated out and created their reports, right? But there's the contextual harms analysis that kind of gives an overview of Kansas City and its unique landscape, and then it just continues to get narrower as the document goes on all the way down to a really specific anecdote of how during a lot of the the contextual analysis will show the discrepancy in education achievement between Black and white communities. And then the African-centered schools show a bright spot within that bleak context. And then how that story plays out is another great example of how anti-Blackness pervasive in the community. So hopefully it'll serve as not only a good story that will make the report very robust and full, but will also give the researcher lots of qualitative moments of access to start to then quantify the harms that were created.
Very good. Thank you for that. Any questions for Commissioner Ellis or comments?
I would love to get you all's opinion before we move on to the next subcommittee report on the date and time.
The date that we have, I'm sorry, ma'am, this is not appropriate for the public at this point until the very end, and then we'll open it up for public comment. So October 26th, is that the?
So we're looking at the week of 20 to 26. So I mean, we actually have our full group meeting scheduled that 22nd. And we could do maybe, I don't know if we wanted to make it available for other commissioners to be there to check all of our calendars to see what evening that week. I think, are we all agreeing on a weekday evening? Is that what we think would be best?
I think we're
during the
open
year?
to it. I think we're open to whatever works for your speakers. Because
Okay.
we're out far enough, I think,
Right.
to where how we promote it and making sure the word is out. I don't know that it matters whether we pick Saturday or during the week.
Okay, well let's look at the back half of the week because we meet on the 22nd as a whole group.
Monthly meeting, yep.
Yeah. And so that way we could maybe use the monthly meeting to push out
The launch.
Yep. Any other, and maybe it'd be like that Friday or that Thursday. I'll check, like you said, with the.
Friday?
I did. It's a public event, though. That's different than an internal strategic planning
You
meeting.
think people would come to a reparations meeting on a Friday evening?
Probably not.
I think Thursday would be fine.
I think Thursday would be good.
And I think Saturday, like after 1 o'clock would be fine.
Okay. I'll propose those 2 dates to the Ballard, and I'll check with the guest speakers. 10/24 or 10/26, and I'll check with the venue 10:24, 6 p.m., 10:26, 2 p.m., and they'll each be 2 hours. 6 to 8, 2 to 4. Aim for 200 people. You all are aiming for 300, Dr. Jones?
What's that?
You all are aiming for 300 people?
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds
Sounds
good.
good.
Okay, great. And then honorarium and approvals and vendors.
Yes, all I need is the information. I can send them the paperwork and see if they're vendors or not. If not, then I'll send them the paperwork. We can get them entered within a couple of days once we get the paperwork back.
Got plenty of time to get that. Even if they're not vendors, we've got plenty of time to get them in there.
Would it be a matter of them submitting papers to us and we can register them? They don't have to go online and do it themselves.
Right. What'll happen, if you give me their information, I'll send them the paperwork. They fill it out, send it back to me. I'll send it over to supplier maintenance. They will get them in the system.
And what is the honorarium for guest speakers?
I think we determined that. We have a budget set aside for these
Right.
sessions, and it's at $2,500 per. And so if you think it's going to exceed that, then that's probably a conversation. Because we have
$2,500
$2,500
per
budget
session.
for the entire session. So that would be if we wouldn't provide any type of refreshments, if we need to pay for audio visual
Right.
or,
I got you.
yeah, the whole thing.
Okay, great. Super useful. Thank you.
All right, any questions or comments there
From the committee.
from the committee? Yes.
Yeah.
Is this clock right? 3:45?
No,
No?
yes,
Okay.
it is right.
It is right, okay,
right.
because the only other committee to speak would be economics, and I know that Commissioner Tauheed is not on the call yet. He didn't think he would get here until 4. So I think we'll have to come back to that. All right, any old business? Any new business?
The open commission seats is going to be closed.
Closed session.
What's going on with the Wichita Task Force?
I don't know who is keeping up with that. I think Sister Janae was providing an update on that.
Well, I know you were tied in with them as well. Oh, he's dropped off.
Oh,
Is the Facebook thing new business? Lawyer Facebook?
there was a question from the legal department about the Facebook page. I was supposed to have a meeting with them to discuss, but unfortunately, the attorney got sick. We had to reschedule, so we still have not had that meeting. So that's kind of on hold until I find out what those questions or concerns are.
The Facebook.
The
Page.
Facebook page. Mhm.
Did we designate somebody to be in charge of that? That was the other thing. It wouldn't be run from the city, would it?
To be honest, I don't think we'd gotten that far.
Sure.
Heather was gonna do the legwork for us to put all that together.
Right.
And in the process, the legal department asked to have a meeting.
I got you.
And so we haven't gotten that far.
Okay. And that'll be between you and them, not between all of
'Cause
us.
I don't, at this point, I don't know what the question is
Right.
or what the concern is. So we'll have to wait and see. All right. Justice Gatson, Real Justice Network report. Are you, I see your face.
Hey, everybody.
What's happening?
Let me know. So let me know if I'm out traveling back to Kansas City, DC. Been out here for a week doing some work. But my report is real short. We have still been doing the work. As I mentioned, with around reproductive injustices and reparations. I'm really hoping we'll be finished by the end of the year, and we'll be doing some engagement on that. And then the other thing is we have officially joined. I think you all know that my organization is a part of the larger movement for lives, not to be confused with Black Lives Matter, but Movement for Black Lives holds about 200 Black-led organizations around the country. And so we had been talking since last year about forming kind of a national group of the work and sort of that officially. And just to name a few of the folks who are, that's Race Forward, Law for Black Lives, the Malcolm X Grassroots Project, and the idea, and so many others. But the idea is that we are able to talk with each other, strategize around the reparations movement and work, and some of the proposals. And so I'm really excited to be linked in with these amazing folks who are doing this work around the country. And as I hear more, I know that we'll have documents to share. And so I will bring some documents to share. We'll put our eyes on that, just so it may be helpful for us as we go along doing this work. So those are the two things I wanted to share today.
Commissioner Gatson, what is the name of that organization?
I'm not a commissioner. I'm an advisor.
Advisor Gatson.
Movement for Black Lives.
Okay, what was your question?
What was the name of the organization that you were just talking about? It had 200 organizations a part of it.
It's called Movements for Black Lives.
Is it movement and the number 4 Black Lives?
Yes.
Okay,
And if you go on the website, please, everybody, please check out the website. There is a whole doc on reparations. And I think it's really interesting.
Thank you. Any questions for Justice Gatson? Advisor Gatson. All right. KC Reparations Coalition report, Sister Janae.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
As Brother Cornell shared, we had our public meeting last night and it was pretty phenomenal.
Outstanding.
Author Andrew Carl, who wrote a book called The Black Tax, not to be confused with, I think it's another Black tax book, Rochester.
Yes.
Sean D. Rochester wrote the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, so not to be confused with that one. Andrew talked about how all across the country, African Americans have been robbed of local taxes, from our neighborhoods to our school districts. And it's, from the county to the city. I'm going to be sharing the recording before the week is up so everybody can, get up on his presentation. But it was pretty heartbreaking. Just that all this evidence is so blatant, yet we're still fighting so hard, and there's still so much pushback on reparations when it's obvious there's a debt owed. So I'm really proud of the city of Kansas City for taking the steps to have this commission, and we have the opportunity to put proposals forth to do some things here in Kansas City. But his presentation was pretty infuriating and heartbreaking.
Mr. Janae, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, dear.
When you say what he talked about, is it because we've been taxed differently? Is that
Yes.
what?
I'm glad you asked that question. Yes. So basically he's saying that tax assessors, historically, tax assessors have had the autonomy or, the power to tax how they want to tax. And historically, African Americans have just been taxed at much higher rates than Caucasians have.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh.
he said on average it's like $100 more, but he said when you compound that over
over time.
over time, it's billions of dollars.
And for me too, it was the we still see this happening. We're watching what was infuriating to me as I reflected on it was that how many of us were sitting in this room, like myself, who's under 40, and Mickey Dean, who's not under 40. And we're both asking questions of like, who's the tax assessor in Jackson County? Like, who gets that job? Is it appointed or is it elected? We're asking questions as if we are like unaware of this, yet we're still victims of it at the same time. We're all at the Jackson County courthouse fighting the reassess really right now, fighting the reassessment of our properties in redline community and formerly redline communities, right? We know people that are being dispossessed. He used 3 words: overtaxed, underserviced, and dispossessed. And so not only are we being overtaxed over $100 average, like Janae was saying, those dollars are being directly funded into white neighborhoods and not being funded into the neighborhoods that they're actually coming from. And so the infrastructure that is supposed to be supported by the taxes that come from your property taxes, from your home ownership taxes, were actually being robbed from Black communities and funneled into white communities. And then dispossession, where we see, I don't want to speak too specifically, but here in Kansas City, even, right, where you see the mortgage tax, or like the escrow, right, on your home or on your land grow exponentially over 1 year so that you can't afford it anymore. Right. And then you sell under duress. And I think the other thing that he didn't really quite get into, I need to get this book, that there are people that become millionaires based off purchasing tax credit homes, right? And so when you can't afford your tax credit, you have to sell your house to the state or to the county or to the city. Then it goes under auction, and the city then or somebody can buy it for pennies on the dollar and then resell it for its actual value. And now that's being ran by major corporations, hedge funds, investment companies. But over the years, it's been people gaining millions and millions of dollars off of the, like Janae was saying. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take the mic here,
No,
but
you're doing a great job.
But the overtaxing and then the underservicing and dispossession of Black lands has created wealth in a large way. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Is this guy a professor? Who is this guy?
He is a professor. He is a professor. He talked about classes he teaches.
Okay.
So I'm not sure of his whole resume, but I asked him like, what put him on this mission?
Yeah.
Because all of what he laid out there, I could see that he would be the target of a lot of hate.
Oh, wow.
And he said that it's just it's taken him years to write that book. And he was like, you know, when he started becoming familiar or understanding, you know, these facts, there was no way that he couldn't. He couldn't. There was no way he could just sit on it. He had to do something about it.
Well, I look forward to getting the recording. Was it half an hour, a full hour? How long was the presentation?
We went to like 7:30. We went till 7:30. So I think his presentation was about 40 minutes, and then we had Q&A. But yeah, even the whole thing is important because even during the Q&A, there was so many questions and answers he gave that you know, really helped us.
Do we have resources to provide? And this would be coming from the educator in me, right? But I would love to get everybody a copy of that book. Or like I know we did the
Absolutely.
Kansas City, the state of Kansas City, the Urban League.
Yep.
Or maybe hand out information at listening sessions, right? What would our budget be to provide information for the community and ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got a budget broken out. We've got a section for marketing and public relations and training and education. So I think that there certainly is, if we desire to do that.
Yeah, that book is a great asset, I would say, to all of our work, and especially as you all are embarking on developing those proposals, and just really taking that and looking into. I mean, I know we're focused on the city of Kansas City, but you know, they do the TIFs. The city does the TIFs. And I know historically, there's been issues of who the city's giving these TIFs to, and how that has negatively impacted the Kansas City public schools. So
Well, I think that was the best part of it, was that it was so local, right? He wasn't necessarily talking about state taxes or federal taxes. He was talking about local property taxes, and I think for me specifically,
To the
coming
county.
yeah, he
right,
talked
and here
about
in Kansas
county
City,
and he talked about
right?
city. Yeah.
But and when thinking about education, that's being a direct recipient, like that's where 90% of the funding comes from for schools, is from local taxes. And so for me, it was right on point. Here's the book.
The Black
Yeah.
tax.
The main thing
had-
that got me is that not only are, like Brother Cornell said, not only are we overtaxed, but we don't get the services that we're being taxed for. So that's like a double smack in the face.
Dr. Jones, I saw you had come off mute.
Yeah, I had a question, just as I know that the coalitions had some wonderful speakers, and I think that the resources that you all may be able to help us tap into as far as putting our report together may start with some of these really great speakers, and thinking about how do we get the word out for investigators to help us do this type of work, to look into the city's policies and practices, which is our task. The person that wrote this book, I'm sure he's an expert in that type of research, or may know other people that are experts. So just wondering, how can we utilize the speakers that you've brought in and the resources that you all are already tapped into to get our RFP out to those types of people? Because I think that's exactly what we need, are those types of people to come in and help us do the investigation, and put in our report together.
So are you saying, Dr. Jones, that you would like for us to share it's an RFI, right? Is it an RFI, RFP?
I get confused with I don't know what it is. It's changed. It's a request for something. I don't.
Yeah, we could totally share that out, if that's something that you all would like us to do.
Yeah, or even a list. I don't know if you have a running list of the speakers and the different talks that they've given, and their area of expertise, that because I do think that we probably will have to do more than just send them the RFI or RFP. Like, we'll probably have to reach out to them specifically and and give them some detail of what we're trying to do, and not woo them, but really try to engage people and say, if you don't know, if this doesn't align with your work or expertise, if you don't feel like this is something you can do, then can you put us in contact with other people that's in your circle that you think would be a good fit for this? Because I think we're going to really have to be very proactive in finding an investigator. It's not going to just land in our lap.
I agree. So yeah, I will get with Baba Mickey and compile a list of the previous speakers we've had and get his thoughts on, because right now I'm thinking of a couple that may be really good to help with you all's proposals. So we'll look at, what they brought to the meetings and their expertise and background to forward you all a list to look at and, reach out to.
Yeah, that'd be great, I think. Is it an RFI or RFP?
It is an RFP.
So request for proposals.
Request for proposal at this point. Originally, we started out with an request for information, and we shifted to RFP.
And that's active now, like we could send it out now.
Yep, they are waiting for addresses, and I think, uh-oh, I just looked at Mr. Eric. Eric was doing some regional work with local universities to identify African American history departments, research departments, to get those contact emails and names and addresses so that we could begin to send it out. And I'm giving him the look, and he's giving me the look. So that's still on his to-do list.
Yes, considering the minutes, I will need to do some spell checking and all that good stuff.
Okay. Okay. So that's still to be done, but I think we're close. We're
Yes.
getting close. So if we have that list along with the coalition's recommendation, we can at least start to get those proposals out in front of folks. Any other
Absolutely.
questions for Sister Janae?
I do have a couple of other things to add.
Sure, go ahead. I'm sorry, ma'am, it's not in the public.
I know, but I'm just asking the question, what is the?
There are no questions until we open for public statement. No, ma'am. Go ahead, Sister Janae.
So during your strategic retreat, is that when you all will determine your timeline? You guys are asking for an extension, right? Have you already decided how much longer that you're going to ask for, or are you going to deal with that in your retreat?
We'd probably deal with that in the retreat.
Okay, because KC Reparations Coalition is we're embarking upon strategic planning, and really that's helpful. We really need you all's timeline. So that can help us, because it is our, we have made commitment that we're with you all for the long haul. And when your proposals are complete, we're making sure that the city of Kansas City isn't just sitting on those proposals. And I also just want to put this thought in you all's mind, because I know that you lost some commissioners, and this reparations is a historic thing. And I just feel like everybody who came to the table, like, I just don't see how you walk away and then you're no longer in the movement. So as you all are doing your strategic planning, I am hoping that you will be thinking about what will you be contributing to the reparations movement upon the work of the commission, because the work will still go on. So I was really hoping that those who step down from the commission for whatever reason, but maybe they would still be engaged in the coalition meetings, but just still engaging in the movement, because we really do need all hands on deck.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Anything
I
else?
think, yeah, I think that's it.
All right. Any questions for Sister Janae?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. There is a plethora of information at the local level about the injustices as it relates to TIF. There were big hotels on the plaza who was getting TIF money when that should have been going to the community. I remember a case in particular that they had a crack in the sidewalk in front of their building, which allowed them to go for millions of dollars to upgrade that hotel. I forget the name of the hotel. But then there's also the property taxes that have been on an increase. I took that to a lawyer and she looked it over. And she told me that the entire system was illegal, like the entire system that they were using, that they are currently using, is illegal. And so I just wanted to put that out there, that there's information right at the city level, right there, that somebody can pull to start to show what's been happening. And it's been happening for the longest of times. There's even millions of dollars that they had into, I can't remember the name of the fund, that just went missing. Like, where's this money? And it was supposed to go to like areas in the 3rd district and the 5th district, and it never made it. So just wanted to uplift that we do have some stuff here on the local level that we can pull to put forward to say this is the case for reparations.
Thank you
And
for
on
that.
that note, that reminds me of another point that I did want to make and make sure that you guys have on your purview. So land, when we're talking about, so for reparations, I hope within your proposal, especially housing, I don't, really know what Aja's thoughts are or direction with that, but we will need land. We're old land. So I'm hoping that land will be a request in those proposals. But when we're talking about what the city owes, so I had a conversation with Sister Kathy Pursley. She's the president of the Heart of the City Neighborhood Association in the Dunbar neighborhood. And she's closely connected with the Center of Neighborhoods. And the professor there ran across an old article in the Kansas City Star, in the Call, that talked about how all these parks, the Kansas City Parks and Rec has over 222 parks. And what they were doing back in the day was creating all these parks to keep African Americans from owning land, from getting that land. So now they have an abundance of parks that they can't even keep up the maintenance on. And all of that came about pretty much to keep us from having land or being able to purchase land. So I think that's something that should definitely be looked into, to see how in those proposals we could be requesting land for the repair that we need for our communities.
Mr. Janae, you said that the Center for Neighborhoods has that information.
So what is the professor's name with the Center of Neighborhoods? I can't think of. Yes.
Yeah, Jacob Wagner.
Jacob Wagner. He has that article that that was in the Kansas City Call.
Thank you.
Yeah. Professor Wagner would be an excellent researcher on housing. Don't know about other areas, but on housing, he would be excellent.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comment for Sister Janae or KC Reparations Coalition report? All right, I'm going to jump back to subcommittee report now that Commissioner Tauheed has joined us. If you would, sir, give us a report on the economic subcommittee.
Yes, the economic subcommittee has not met. We are down to Kenneth, Commissioner Ford, and myself. We had resignations from Commissioner Ritzmeyer and Commissioner King. They did excellent work. They were very involved and active, but I assume that other areas of their lives have intervened. What I'm wanting to do is to ask other commissioners who are here, if you're even if you're on other commissions, on subcommittees, to join our committee. We were in the process of doing our harm statement, and we will revisit that regardless of whether or not we get the other commissioners to join, we are going to complete our harm statement. But we are down to 2, and I don't think I see Commissioner Ford online today. People have other lives as well. So obviously every committee needs a good body of persons to meet, to do the work, and so forth. So I'm making a call out to others to join our subcommittee. We meet the second Thursday of every month.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Commissioner Tauheed?
I think this was a point of clarification I probably have been overlooking. We clarified this earlier. Only commissioners are available to be on subcommittees. Okay. Am I still on the list for the healthcare subcommittee? Dr. Jones, am I supposed to be showing up to your meeting?
Yes, sir.
There we go. There we go. Look at the PowerPoint, sir.
I'll get that.
All right.
Sir.
Can you pull that back up again? I mean, because I would love to help out, but I don't want to overextend myself. I'm already, and healthcare is also just Tawheed and Hart and I guess Hartsville.
I think this would be something good for us to discuss in our strategic planning meeting of kind of going forward, since we've lost some commission members of how best can our subcommittees function when there's so few of us. And I feel like honestly, even in the beginning, sometimes it was the meetings felt thin just because we have 4 subcommittees and only so many members. So I think it'd be good for us to discuss the function of our and purpose of our subcommittees and how can we get the actual work done spread across all of these different groups with a smaller number of members.
Yeah, I think
Can-
Commissioner Ellis, I think I know where you were going with that. Opening it up to other experts within the community to help move that along. I can't remember now, but I know that came up as a question.
Yeah, I think legal already shut that down.
I think so too.
Yeah. Because of sunshine laws.
Commissioner Tawheed, is your hand up?
Yes, I had a question about also when we get to a retreat that we entertain rescheduling our meetings. I have some issues now on Tuesday and Thursday in terms of teaching, so it makes it difficult for me to get to two meetings at time. So hopefully we can get together and find some times that are agreeable to everyone.
Commissioner Tawheed, I don't think you were on the call. We did identify a date for our strategic planning retreat, Friday, September 13th,
Okay,
2:30 to 6:30.
that should be good.
Yay. So far everybody's a yes. So we just need to hear from Brother Ford and
Morris.
Will Bowles. No, Will said he was good. He just had to start a little later. Who was the other? Morris. So the majority's there. And Madison Lyman, which she's in school, so we'll have to figure that out too. All right, very good. Is there anything else before we move to public input? Okay. All right, do we have anybody, Eric, that we need to promote for public input?
I don't see anyone's hand up. There's one person here, but she stepped out for a second.
Okay.
So she may want to speak when she comes back.
2 minutes. Yes, okay.
Oh,
All right,
I thought Will Bowles had his hand up.
let's see. Did Will drop off the call? Is he no longer?
He's out in the audience.
He's what?
He's in the audience.
Oh, okay. And then we'll go into closed session. So if you all would hang in, that would be great. While we're waiting, are there any questions? Again, I didn't get a chance to see the email about accessing funds.
Are we going to closed session?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to go into closed session?
Oh, you told me we can't.
We can't.
Why not?
We cannot go into closed session. That's right. He told me at the beginning of this call, when we're split, folks on Zoom and folks in the office, there's not a way to. I thought I turned that off.
Oh, we
No.
can't go.
There's not a
Okay.
way to go into closed session.
Okay.
But we do need a report from Commissioner Bowles on the status of the new commissioners, those conversations and outreach he's done.
And I'll see if there's a way to do it for the next one, just in case everyone's not here, to be able to segment out a room on Zoom. But I know that's usually done in a meeting, not a webinar, because all the Zoom meetings are webinars. So we may
Now,
not be-
is that because some of us are on Zoom and some of us are in person?
Yes.
Or if we were all on Zoom, could we go into closed session?
If we were, well, what we would have to do, we would have to use a different meeting setting. Right now,
Okay.
we're in a webinar. In a webinar, we
right.
can't set out a separate room.
Okay.
Stacy Webb has her hand up.
Stacy Webb, you have a question or
Stacy,
comment?
You're able to talk, Stacy. You're gonna mute yourself.
Okay, thanks. Sorry. Yeah, going back to um, the coalition meeting last night and the author, someone had said something about the taxing misconduct as being obvious. And I would kind of push back on that and say that I think it's been very structurally hidden, purposely confusing so that people can't understand it easily. And then kind of as a tag onto that, I'm wondering, will you all be creating a plan for educating the public at large about the reasoning for reparations?
I'll jump in here. I appreciate your thoughts. Thank you for sharing. I would say that absolutely these things are done subtly and within a construct of dominant culture.
Yeah, yeah.
And once you look at the data and once you see it laid out in a way, it is pretty obvious, right? And so I think that as maybe tax law exists or as maybe um, certain legislation or policy exists as it stands, right? That can be really hard to read through, hard to decipher, and like you said, purposely
Right.
written to almost deceive.
Yes.
Once we actually look at the way things shake down, and the way the cookie crumbles, or the numbers don't lie. And I think that when we say that it's obvious and infuriating, I think that's what we are referring to. Is not necessarily the tax code itself, but actually the way the tax code manifests itself within Black communities. And I think secondarily to your question, I mentioned earlier that we are hoping to create and maintain a database of resources, um, books, readings, videos that will not only be available for internal use for our education, but also for external purposes as well, for people to be able to um, read and learn for themselves. I think in addition to that, there are also the listening sessions that we are planning on having the public attend. And so I think those offer a mechanism as well for the public to be able to engage with specific information, ask questions, and be able to learn about the cause for reparations.
And I'll jump in here, Stacy. Thank you for your comment. When I was making that, when I made the statement about things being so obvious, I wasn't really even referring to the issues that we found out last night. I'm talking about overall. When we look at the case in Tulsa and how those survivors got denied when there's so much evidence of what happened there. So I'm talking about historically, there's so much evidence that reparations is due. So that's what I meant there.
And I would just say that I think that these things are much more well known within the Black community. And I think it's many white folks are oblivious to it. I think that maybe if they are educated or get educated, that they will feel differently. But at this point, I think that they are ignorant about it.
Yeah, I agree
in general.
And
in general,
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And
I shouldn't say they.
Let me say this. Most lay people who are white and even Black and other ethnic groups may be ignorant. But the powers that be, they know exactly what has been done and what continues to be done. So they're not ignorant at all.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think
yes.
The other thing that continues to pop into my mind, like I think about insurance law, and a lot of these tax laws, insurance laws, early policies and procedures were written around Black bodies and the possession of actual Black people. We were the first sources of wealth for the country. And so it's not a mystery
Yes.
to me why some of these things are lesser known or differently understood in different communities, because these types of information have been passed down generationally of what it means to benefit from a system that was built for you, right? And to then be a part of a system or be a victim of a system that uses your skin and your body as a source of income.
Yeah, and I'll just say this one last thing, Stacy, regarding your question about the education, because it is so important, and that is really the charge of KC Reparations Coalition, is to educate.
Okay.
But let me just say, part of my deep frustration with this whole movement is that we gotta raise money to do this work. Like, we have to raise money to get reparations. You know, we have to have the capacity to organize and have people that will be dedicated to do this work, to get the education out. So it's all very difficult work.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your comment, Ms. Webb. Any other public testimony? Ma'am, here in the chamber, the public is open. It is time now. Yes, ma'am. You have 2 minutes if you'd like to come to the microphone.
I only had 2 questions.
If you'd like to come to the microphone so that those online can hear you.
I'm loud enough.
Can you all hear her on?
Okay right here. I know I never satisfy you for some reason. Is it okay right there? My mouth is
I just
big
want to make
enough.
sure that the folks online
I'm
can hear.
pretty
No,
sure they
here-
can't hear me
it-
because
no,
you heard
ma'am.
me.
Ma'am,
Ma'am.
at the podium here, stand up and we'll use the microphone so
Okay,
people
right.
online can hear you.
Last time I sat there, so I
Thank
wasn't
you.
aware of it. I only had 2
Can you
questions.
state your name, please, for the audience?
Brenda Anderson. I only had 2 questions. One was, I believe you mentioned, Councilman, that there was a meeting that was held last night. Could you provide where that meeting took place and what time was it?
So Janae, can you give us the details for Ms. Relaford?
I'm asking.
So
So the
dear,
person
those
who leads
meetings,
the meetings is here, so she'll be able to give you the information.
yeah, those are KC Reparations Coalition's meetings. And if you give me your email address, I'll put you on our email list so you can get the links to those meetings.
Okay, great, thank you. I just know he was the one speaking, and you said that it was held last night. I didn't know of anyone else. I'm just going by what you said. That's
And then
all.
she
Okay,
also.
so my other
confirmed it.
second question was that there was concern about where to have different meetings in different places. And I didn't know if the library would have been something like Lucille Buford Library is close in the neighborhood. Maybe that would be they have a nice conference room in there. I go there periodically. I have gone to the Plaza Library. I like it more, but Lucille Buford is close in the neighborhood on 31st and Prospect, and they do have a nice conference room if you was looking for a place. I also was going to offer my home an area till the weather is nice to have a community meeting with. I see the attendance is somewhat low. But I've just had a incident and have a large tree that fell in my backyard on my patio area. But I thought that would be nice, but I still have occupation for it. If anyone is welcome to attend, it's okay. If not, it's all right. But my home is open for the community. And also for the community, I wanted to mention that there was RFP, and I was unclear to what the R was. I have the F for purpose, but I wasn't sure what the R was for. RFP.
Request for proposal.
Request for purpose. Okay.
Request for
And that was
proposal.
all. And I also noticed on your minutes that you all have from the past that your public input is always blank. Is it that no one attends or that people attend and they're not allowed to speak? Is that why that's always blank on your minutes? Your public input in your minutes, I've noticed they're always blank.
And that's just my error.
That's right. Okay, no problem. I just wonder.
And-
Well, that was it.
and
No
to
problem
let
there.
And let you know, I'll send Janae your email address.
Okay,
I have
yeah,
it.
you did that. You said you did, and I just happened to not be home at the time when you sent it because I'm always on that email.
Oh, no, I
and-
meant I'll send Janae your email address for the
Oh,
coalition.
okay, that's fine. I know you have it. But think, like I said, those are my only two concerns, except for we did mention property taxes, and I have experienced that with my escrow account with my insurance company, and there is something going on with that, but that's not a place I want to discuss that here for right now. But those were just my only two concerns. That last meeting you had last night, I would have liked to have known about that and what that RFP was. And I had to request for purpose now. So that's clarification. And that was it. I appreciate seeing you all again.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any other public testimony? Eric, is there anybody else online that you need to promote?
Grayson has their hand up, and let's go. And Grayson, where'd he go? There they are. Okay.
Could you state your name, please?
Yes, my name is Grayson Johnston. You guys actually mentioned Center for Neighborhoods earlier. I'm an intern with them. And so I'm just kind of attending, see what's happening. I had a quick question about, I think it was Andrew Carl. His talk he gave last night. I was wondering if that'll be available online somewhere, or if I can link that to people. Just yeah, if that's anywhere.
Sister Janae, will you take that response, please?
Absolutely, Grayson. If I could get your email address, I'll get you the recording.
Yes. I guess I can just tell you. It's GRAYS dot JOHNS@gmail.com.
Okay, let me repeat it to you.
Yeah.
Grays.johns@gmail.
Yep, you got it.
Okay.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment or public testimony?
Okay. No one has their hand up.
All right, before we close out, does anybody else have any other comments, questions, anything they need to clarify, reminders? All right, strategic planning session, Friday, September 13th, 2:30 to 6:30, location to be determined,
TBD.
sir.
TBD.
I'm guessing it will not be at Vine Street Brewing, although we might go there for some other activity.
All right, Kimmit.
All right, thank you all so much. Until next time.
All right.
Meeting is adjourned.
Meeting adjourned at 4:28.
Take
Have a good
care.
evening, everybody.
Thank you.
You're gonna be mad. I just checked my